Hi guys, my name is Miss Isabel and I'm going to be coming to you virtually for 5 weeks to teach you all about health and nutrition and physical activity. So what we're going to do when I come and see you guys is we are going to be reading a book through Michigan Fitness Foundation's Health Through Literacy. And these books are all about health and nutrition and physical activity and having fun while we do it. So for today, we are going to be reading a book called Nothing to Do by Douglas Wood and illustrated by Wendy Anderson Halperin. So before we begin reading this book, I want to ask you guys, and when you're at home, I want you to answer these questions the best you can as well. And the activities I ask you to do, I want you guys to do those at home with me, okay? So my first question for you is, what do you notice about the cover of this book? Okay. So maybe you notice this little boy here. He kind of looks like he's maybe daydreaming. Yeah. I also notice, I don't know if you guys notice this too, but I also noticed that a lot of things on this book are things you can find in nature. We've got plants right here and a bird right here. We've got a dog right there. There's also a lot of things that I noticed on here about physical activity. It looks like we've got some beach balls and some marbles and jacks. What else do you guys notice? Okay, yeah, maybe you notice some arts and crafts things. You notice some crayons and paints, paper airplane. There looks to be a lot of things to notice on this beautifully colored cover. So now, my question for you is, have you ever felt like you had nothing to do? Raise your hand if you've ever felt like you had nothing to do. I know I have. Well, hopefully this book can give us ideas on what we can do when we feel like we have nothing to do. So when we feel like we have nothing to do, how do you act, or what do you think about? Okay, yeah, definitely. I'm kind of like this kid here. I kind of start to think about, what could I do? Is there anything fun I can do at home or outside? I start to try and get creative. Maybe you do the same thing at home. Maybe get antsy, like you want to get up and do something. All right, well, let's see what this little kid does when he feels like he has nothing to do, and maybe you and I can figure out what to do when we have nothing to do. Once in a while, along comes a day when there is nothing, absolutely, positively nothing to do. And isn't that great? No school, no homework, no little league, no dance class, no play rehearsal, no soccer practice, no computer camp, no anything. Just a white, empty space on the calendar. Of course, some people get a little worried about these spaces, and these people are very nice and wear big shoes, but we'll think about them a little bit later. But what do you do when there's nothing to do? Well, I have heard stories, wonderful stories, about taking off your shoes and walking through green grass or mud in your bare feet. Or making toy ships out of sticks and sailing them across a puddle that somehow seems as wide as an ocean. I've heard about lying on your back and watching clouds turn from dinosaurs into crocodiles, into dragons, into bears, into butterflies, into clouds. Or lying on your stomach watching an ant carry something 3 times bigger than he is, while you wonder, how can he do that? And what do ants eat for breakfast that makes them so strong? I've heard of making paper airplane do loop-de-loops and barrel rolls in the soft summer air and then land smooth as butter on bread. Or building a fort, a secret place where no one can see you because you can't see them, and surviving for hours on peanut butter sandwiches and lemonade. I've heard about catching fireflies on a warm evening and putting them in a jar until you have 2 hands full of gold, and then letting them all go. I've heard of swinging until your toes touch the clouds or hanging by your knees like a monkey, just to find out how monkeys feel. I've heard of climbing a good tree that's been waiting all its long life just to be climbed by you. Or finding a quiet spot and reading your very favorite book, and then reading it again. Just because it is your favorite. I've heard stories about exploring places that really need to be explored. About making angels in the snow, or building igloos or caves, or sledding, or tasting icicles, or throwing snowballs, or making round, fat men with orange noses and old hats who smile at everyone. Why, I've heard of swimming, and building sandcastles, and hopscotching, and jump roping, and running, and throwing, and bouncing, and painting, and drawing, and playing with toys, and puzzles, and dolls, and games, and puppies, and kittens, and hamsters, and gerbils, and doing cartwheels, and doing somersaults, and doing, well, sometimes just doing nothing. And maybe one of the best ways to do nothing is to show someone else how to do it with you. Maybe even someone with big shoes. Just to remind them that sometimes doing nothing is the most important thing in the whole wide world to do. The end. Wasn't that a great book? It was so beautiful with so many different pictures, and it gave so many great ideas on what we can do if we feel like we have nothing to do. So before I let you go, I have a question for you. A few questions actually, and I want you to answer them. Just shout them out at your house because I am curious to hear what you have to say. So my first question for you is, why do you think it's important to try and figure out or make choices about what activities you can do? Yeah, awesome. It's important to do this because then we can find out what we like and make our own discoveries. We can maybe find a new hobby that we wouldn't have thought about before, or we can come up with something else that we've never tried before, and maybe you'll learn that you're really good at it. So it's a really good idea to just take a few minutes to think about some different things you can do activity-wise when you're feeling bored, okay? My second question is, why do you think it's important to be physically active every day? In the book, we saw him talking about building a snowman. We saw him talking about making a fort, flying a kite. So there's lots of different things that he was doing that were physically active. So why do you think it's important? Right, it keeps our bodies and our muscles strong. It keeps us and our hearts healthy and gives us energy and helps us burn off that energy. So being physically active is really, really important. Question number 3, what do you do or how do you use your free time? For me, I use my free time by reading a book, going outside, taking my dog for a walk. How about you? How do you use your free time? Awesome. And then my last question for you before I let you go is, of those things about how you use your free time, of those things, how many of those are physically active? Or how many of those are physical activities? great. Yeah, for me, mine is walking my dog and going outside. There are so many different things that we can do to stay active, to have fun, to be healthy, and to come up with something to do when we feel like we have nothing else to do. I hope you enjoyed the book, and I'm so excited to speak with you guys again next week, so I'll see you then. Bye! One thing you can do when you feel like you have nothing to do is to build a healthy and tasty salad. Not only is it fun, but it's healthy and tastes good too. Plus, it's easy. All you have to do is take whatever greens you have, that can be spinach or lettuce or collard greens, and put it into a bowl, and then add chopped up fruits and vegetables, your favorite or whatever you have in the refrigerator. Then drizzle on a little bit of dressing, mix it all up, and there you have it, a healthy, tasty, delicious, and super fun salad. It's time to build our salad. So we've already have our cut up vegetables, our washed and dried lettuce, and you can choose any type of low fat or healthier dressing that you have in your home. Today, I'm just gonna use a little bit of olive oil and some salt and pepper because that sounds good to me today. If you wanna try it, awesome. If you have a different dressing you like at home, that is awesome too. So let's begin. So you're gonna take your dried and washed lettuce and you're just gonna throw that into the bowl that you have your chopped up fruits and vegetables in. I notice here that I have one piece of lettuce that's a little icky, so I'm gonna take that and I'm going to throw it out. But the rest of my lettuce looks beautiful. So now, all I'm gonna do next is drizzle on a little bit of my olive oil and a pinch of salt and pepper. Then I'm gonna mix it all up together. It's okay if it spills on the table. We're gonna try and keep it in the bowl, but if a few pieces fall out of your bowl, don't worry about it. You're gonna toss it until the dressing has covered all of your vegetables. Looks like it for me. And then you're just gonna enjoy it.